On a moonlit beach, waves gently lap at the shore. A dark shape emerges from the water. At first, you think it's just a seal, but something seems different. The creature's form changes and the seal's skin falls away, revealing a breathtakingly beautiful woman. This isn't an ordinary seal, nor an ordinary person. Welcome to the mysteries of mythology, the Selkie. Imagine a creature that's both seal and human, slipping between sea and shore as easily as changing clothes. These are the Celkies, shapeshifters of Celtic lore that have captured imaginations for centuries. Born from the misty coasts of Scotland, Ireland and Iceland, Selkie tales are most vivid in the Orkney and Shetland Islands. With rugged cliffs teeming with seals, the line between reality and myth blurs like a foggy day. The word Selkie comes from the Scottish Gaelic silche, meaning seal, and is deeply rooted in Celtic mythology. Similar legends can be found in Norse mythology. What sets Selkies apart from other mythical creatures is their dual nature. They inhabit a space between two worlds, the sea and the land, the animal and the human. This duality makes them objects of both fascination and fear in the communities where their legends have grown. In their seal form, they're nearly indistinguishable from ordinary seals, but a keen observer might notice an unusual intelligence in their eyes, hinting at the human soul within. The true magic unfolds when a Selkie sheds its sealskin on land. They are said to transform into people of breathtaking beauty, with women often described as having flowing dark hair and deep, soulful eyes, and men as irresistibly handsome and charming. Central to Selkie lore is the magical sealskin. Far more than a simple covering, it's the key to their transformative ability. Without it, a Selkie is trapped in human form, unable to return to its true home. This vulnerability is often exploited in tales where humans steal and hide a Selkie's skin, forcing them to remain on land. Selkies are often portrayed as gentle and somewhat melancholic in their human guise. They possess a deep, unbreakable connection to the sea that manifests in various ways. Many are said to be gifted singers, their voices carrying haunting melodies of their ocean home. Some tales attribute them to other magical abilities like calming storms or summoning seals. While not immortal, Selkies are believed to have lifespans measured in centuries rather than decades. They can form deep bonds with humans, even falling in love and having children. These Selkie children are said to bear subtle marks of their supernatural heritage, often in the form of webbed fingers and toes. However, the call of the sea is a constant presence in a Selkie's life. One kept from the ocean will pine for it, becoming increasingly unhappy and even sickly. If a land-bound Selkie ever recovers its seal skin, the pull of their true home is almost always too powerful to resist, even if it means leaving behind human loved ones. Their stories often serve as warnings, weaving themes of love, loss, and the folly of trying to tame our wild nature and our complex relationship with the sea, a provider that can instantly turn perilous. One of the most famous Selkie stories is the Fisherman's Tale. Our story begins on a remote island off the coast of Scotland, where a lonely fisherman lived. He was a quiet man, more comfortable with the company of the sea and his boat than with other people. Each day he cast his nets into the deep, mysterious waters. One misty morning, as the fisherman walked along the shore before his daily fishing, he heard a beautiful and sorrowful melody. Curious, he followed the sound to a hidden cove. There, on a rock bathed in early morning light, sat the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her long, dark hair cascaded down her back, and her eyes held the depths of the sea. Beside her lay what appeared to be a seal's skin. Realizing he was in the presence of a Selkie, he remembered his grandfather's tales, warning never to interfere with their lives. But overcome by the Selkie's beauty and his own loneliness, he made a fateful decision. While she was distracted by her song, the fisherman crept forward and snatched the sealskin, hiding it in his coat. When the Selkie realized her skin was gone, she wept bitterly. Feeling a mix of guilt and hope, the fisherman offered her comfort and his home. With no way to return to the sea, the Selkie reluctantly agreed to go with him, and they were married soon after. To all appearances, they lived happily. The Selkie was a dutiful wife, and in time she bore the fisherman 2 children. The family became known in the village for their strange beauty. The children had dark, liquid eyes, and it was whispered small webs between their fingers and toes. Despite the seeming domestic bliss, there was always a sadness about the Selkie. Often, the fisherman would find her staring out at the sea, singing mournful songs in a language he couldn't understand. Though she cared for him and loved their children deeply, it was clear that a part of her was missing, a part that longed for the freedom of the ocean. 7 years passed in this way. One day, while the fisherman was fishing, their curious young son played in the attic. He discovered an old chest and inside it a strange, sleek skin. Excited by his find, he brought it to his mother. The moment the Selkie laid eyes on her long-lost sealskin, a change came over her. The sadness that had clouded her eyes for 7 years lifted, replaced by a wild joy. She hugged her children tightly, tears streaming down her face, and whispered words of love and farewell. With her sealskin clutched to her chest, the Selkie ran to the shore. Returning from his day's fishing, the fisherman saw her just as she reached the water's edge. He called out to her, his voice filled with desperation and regret, but it was too late. The Selkie turned back once, her eyes meeting the fisherman's. In that moment, he saw both gratitude for the life and children they had shared, and the irresistible call of her true home. Then she donned her sealskin and dove into the waves, disappearing beneath the surface. It's said that on quiet nights, the fisherman and his children would sometimes see a lone seal near the shore, watching them with strangely intelligent eyes. And sometimes, carried on the wind, they would hear a haunting melody, a bitter-sweet song of love, loss, and the eternal call of the sea. The Selkie myth has deep cultural connections to coastal communities, particularly in Scotland, Ireland, and other North Atlantic regions. These shape-shifting creatures are far more than simple folklore. They embody the complex relationship between humans and the sea that has defined life in these areas for centuries, as well as perhaps reflecting the relationship between people and the ocean. Many Selkie tales explore the tension between freedom and captivity. The common trope of a human stealing a Selkie's skin to keep them on land serves as a powerful metaphor for humanity's attempt to control nature, or perhaps even a person's true self. These stories often conclude with the Selkie reclaiming their freedom, reinforcing that the wild, creatures, or the natural world itself cannot truly be owned or constrained by human desires. Stories of Selkies forming deep bonds with humans only to eventually return to the sea reflect the bittersweet nature of love and the pain of inevitable partings. For coastal communities all too familiar with the sea's dangers, these tales may have served as a way to process grief, particularly for those lost to the waves. In a BBC podcast, Sharon Blakey, a psychologist, notes that the image of the lost skin in Selkie stories can symbolize various forms of personal loss or a profound sense of exile from one's true self. Selkie lore is rich with tales of captivity, freedom, and human-Selkie interactions. Here are a few notable stories. The Great Selkie of Sul Skerry is an Orkney ballad that flips the typical narrative by featuring a woman who bears a child to a male Selkie. He foretells their son's tragic fate, highlighting the often doomed nature of human Selkie relationships. Kopakonan, or the Seal Woman, is a folktale from the Faroe Islands about a farmer who steals a Selkie's skin and forces her to become his wife. Years later, she reclaims her skin and returns to the sea, leaving behind a poignant message about her divided loyalties. The Selkie of Wasteness from Shetland offers a rare positive spin on human-Selkie interactions. A man befriends a Selkie woman without resorting to trickery or captivity. She, in turn, helps him save his sheep from a storm, suggesting the possibility of mutual respect between the two realms. Selkies have smoothly swum from ancient folklore into the currents of modern culture. In literature, these shapeshifters continue to enchant readers. Rosalie K. Fry's The Secret of Rowan Einish weaves Selkie lore into a tale of family and heritage. Scottish author George Mackay Brown frequently incorporated Selkie themes in his works, reflecting their enduring importance in Orcadian culture. Cinema has embraced Selkie mythology with films like Undine, starring Colin Farrell, offering a contemporary take on the Selkie myth set in Ireland. The animated film Song of the Sea beautifully incorporates Selkie lore into a touching story about family and loss, earning an Academy Award nomination. While Selkies are creatures of myth, the roots of these legends may lie in real-world observations. The geographical distribution of Selkie myths aligns closely with the habitats of grey and harbour seals along the North Atlantic coasts. Their behaviour, especially during breeding seasons when they spend more time ashore, could have inspired stories of creatures moving between sea and land. Seals possess remarkably expressive eyes and faces, often described as almost human-like, fueling imaginations about these animals harbouring a secret, more human nature. Though seals don't literally shed their skin, they do undergo an annual molt, which might have inspired the concept of Selkies shedding their seal forms. These creatures are far more than mere fantasy. They embody our complex relationship with the sea, its beauty, danger, mystery, and power. Selkies' tales touch on profound human experiences, the yearning for transformation, the delicate balance between freedom and belonging, and the bitter-sweet nature of love. They speak to the part of us that longs for magic, for mystery, for a deeper connection to the natural world. What do you think of the Selkie? Have you seen one? Or do you think they're just an old wives' tale?